are on India Today podcasts and you are in the Sledging Room. All right, there's a reason why we call this the business end of a tournament. This is the business end of the 2023 World Cup. The race is really heating up now, right? For the semi-finals. Australia, of course, firmly in position to make it to the last four. India are one win away from yet another spot in the semi-finals. South Africa and New Zealand battling it out in Pune even as we speak. Of course, New Zealand, if they win on Wednesday evening, will do themselves a huge favor, really, as that race really intensifies. In fact, it's been a bit of a drab run for a lot of teams. Pakistan were disastrous. I saw some headlines, by the way, Diya, Akshay, which said Pakistan are back to winning ways. I mean, after four defeats, you defeated Bangladesh, who have really been horrifyingly disappointing. You can't really claim to have returned to winning ways. They have stiffer battles. Mostly New Zealand. They have to play New Zealand in Bangalore, which is going to be a tough ask against such an accomplished New Zealand batting lineup. But there's so much to really talk about, right? Because Afghanistan have been superbly impressive. They had won one World Cup game before 2023 across two World Cups, and now look at them. They've defeated three former champions, and the way they destroyed Pakistan and then went on to defeat Sri Lanka, it did not even look like upsets. But we'll talk about that. We'll of course talk about how Bangladesh have made a mess of it. They were the first team to be officially knocked out of the semi-finals race following those defeats to the Netherlands and Pakistan. We'll talk about South Africa. They have been so good, right? It's just been it's been a pleasure to watch them perform. But first off, before I get there, what about the Champions Trophy qualification? Yes. So England, apparently Matthew Mott just was taken aback. He said, I didn't know until I saw online reports of the qualification scenario for the Champions Trophy, but that seemed to have been decided many years back, a couple of years back already. Yeah. So...
that's what they're claiming, Raj, but
the Netherlands could be the only European team.
Definitely.
The Netherlands could be the only European team in the Champions Trophy.
No one spoke about it at the start of the World Cup. And suddenly when the wheels were coming off for a couple of teams, I think people were reminded of that. Yeah. And it was quite surprising to see Matthew Mott coming out at the press conference and telling that, I didn't know about the qualifications. Of course, it's the team management's job, it's the analyst's job to keep an eye on all this. And even when the England campaign was going awry, they were saying that we can't put a finger on what's happening. We can't put a finger on why this poor run. Yeah. It's been an extremely poor run. 6 matches, only one win so far. The 2019 champions. This is the worst campaign for a defending champion ever. 1992, Australia had lost 4 matches as defending champions. England have surpassed that with their 5th defeat coming against India. Clueless against India.
No, England were clueless against India, but a lot of English supporters would have thought that they could chase down those 230.
Yes.
They were 30 for no loss. And then Bumrah happened. And it's been happening throughout the World Cup. Mohammad Shami, he's like, he's a
force
secret
to
weapon.
Reckon with.
He's obviously a force to reckon with, but he's a force to reckon with who wasn't even in the reckoning.
Yeah.
It was the first half of the tournament. He's like India's secret weapon. Even in 2019, he played just 4 matches, picked up 14 wickets. Now he's played 2 matches, picked up 9 wickets. He's already India's third highest wicket taker in World Cup history. I think he's got to be one of the most coveted superstars alongside Rohit Sharma. Imagine Rohit Sharma has broken Tendulkar's record for most hundreds in only less than half the World Cups that he's played. But looking at that batting implosion, right, for England, the pitch was okay. It wasn't the easiest pitch to bat on, but 230, they would have fancied themselves. But this is arguably the best bowling lineup in the world.
Yes.
Even with Siraj not at his best, he's nowhere near his best. Impossible.
It's I think just like how India really couldn't turn up with their batting. That's why because they were stopped at 230. But I think, of course, our bowling, the way they have emerged, the bowlers, the best bowling lineup that we have been seeing in the World Cup so far. As you said, Mohammad Shami. Then we also see Kuldeep Yadav chipping in with crucial wickets, and Bumrah being his best self. So I think the whole lineup has come together as a unit that has contributed to us winning 6 on trot.
Yeah.
And one thing I would want to add, I would rather want to ask, very controversial, but is Pandya's injury a blessing in disguise for us?
No, it
With
is not.
Shami coming
Definitely
in?
no. It is not. Definitely not a blessing
right
because
term.
Hardik Pandya is,
Yeah.
I think, among the top 3 all-rounders in world cricket. Right.
Yeah.
Look, what that has also done along with Hardik Pandya whenever he plays. So you've obviously been tempted to play that extra batter because that is the kind of balance Hardik offers. Shardul Thakur, nothing against him, but he has also been, Akshay, he's been one of India's leading wicket takers of the last 4 years between 2019 and 2023, these 2 World Cups. But obviously he's not at the same league with Shami, right?
But somehow, if you have to nitpick there also, Raj.
Yeah.
Leading wicket taker, yes. But have you picked him for your his bowling?
No. And that has been the case with certain selections in the past as well, where you've had to pick certain spinners because of their batting prowess. So I get that. But that is the sort of balance Hardik Pandya offers. I mean, look at the way. Look at Hardik Pandya. Once he was injured, you needed 2 cricketers to replace that guy. Hardik Pandya is a huge asset. I mean, I also hope he starts playing Test cricket because he said something about him
Earning
not
his
being
place.
there yet, and he wanted to earn his place. I hope he really, wants to earn his place back quickly in the Test team. But he is just such a fabulous all-rounder. Also, since you asked that question, no, Hardik Pandya's presence is extremely important. I'll tell you why. In that last game, for instance, right, when you played that in Lucknow, there was talk of a dry surface. Would you have played an extra spinner? Imagine if Hardik had been in the team, you could have played Ashwin instead of Siraj. Yeah. Siraj has been outstanding, but just for some reason, he hasn't really quite, been there, done that this World Cup.
The 3 spinners option is being a little problematic now
but
with Hardik.
If you had Hardik Pandya alongside Bumrah and Shami, that is a very, very good pace attack. And Hardik has really amped up his pace over the last few years. And I think he's a tremendous asset in that team.
Yeah.
And it looks like he won't be back before the semi-final. We hope he's back as soon as possible because he's crucial.
Yeah.
And now look at what Hardik's presence can do. Once Hardik is back, you maybe going to see Surya go out, and alongside these 5 bowlers, you're going to play Hardik Pandya, wherever that is. Hopefully, by the time India play the Netherlands in the last league game, or maybe in the semi-finals. So I'm sure the Indian team also would want to be very, very careful, because you have to treat someone like Hardik Pandya with cotton wool right now at this stage.
And I have a question, as in, would you risk Hardik Pandya Sida for the semi-final if he's going to be available only at that stage?
I mean, I'm sure, look, that's not how it works, right? Even if he's out injured, I'm sure there'd be lot of work going around, going behind the scenes, and he'd be training, he'd be at the gym, he'd be at the nets, he'd be bowling, he'd be running, they'd be assessing his fitness, they'd see how quickly he can adjust to that sort of setup. So and he's been doing well, right? It's not like it's an injury that he picked. That's an old injury that has flared up. It was just unfortunate. It was just a freakish accident on the pitch. He twisted his ankle. That was horrible to watch. Not just because it was Hardik Pandya, one of India's most gifted cricketers, one of the world's most gifted cricketers, but for anybody, it's just such. It's nerve-wracking to watch.
Credit where it's due now. In the past, we have criticized the NCA physios a lot, NCA injury management a lot, but with the way Bumrah came back.
No, I don't think it's been a case of criticizing the NCA setup. It's just the way
injury management.
That injury management has been done. I think some of the blame has to be taken by the team management well.
Of course.
Or maybe the players who were not really forthcoming. Look, I firmly believe that the Indian cricket establishment is very sorted, it's very structured, and it's only getting better. It's only been getting better over the years, right? So I don't think we can find faults with that. So we need to ask questions where they really matter. So we've, in the past, many years back, we've discussed how Bhuvneshwar or Dhiman or all these injuries were managed.
Some players were not even willing to go to the NCA. I think
yes.
Some of Hardik Pandya, I think, if I'm not wrong, Hardik Pandya mentioned
I think some of them wanted to go overseas.
With their personal trainers
but that's also all right. I mean, you do have the right to do that. But But I also want to get back to that Virat Kohli duck. You were one of those who questioned, oh, look, Virat Kohli scored a duck. I saw so much on social media, oh, Virat Kohli scored a duck. So, I mean, he scored all those runs as well.
Definitely.
Don't criticize somebody for the heck of it. Rohit Sharma also got a duck against Australia. The others pulled it up. And then look at the way Rohit Sharma has gone from there on. India's leading run scorer in the World Cup. What a knock that was against England on such a tacky, difficult pitch.
I think such instances give chances to the other players as well to eventually level up.
So Virat Kohli scored a duck on purpose to let the others.
I mean, it's important to test the other players before, we reach
now
the semis.
Now we know why Virat. Okay.
Yeah.
we would not want that to happen in the semis eventually, so that the batters better be tested before that.
Because why I picked this up the was for people like Akshay and other social media trolls, that it's okay to ask questions, but it was just that one game, and before that he won you so many matches. He won that game against Bangladesh,
New Zealand,
Australia. I mean, that KL Rahul, that partnership with KL Rahul, and then Bangladesh and New Zealand. I mean, New Zealand, it was almost, in the second half of the innings, it was almost a one-man effort.
Yeah. Well, let's not wrap things under the carpet, then push things under the carpet. We batted first for the first time against England. Yeah. After 5 times chasing, we batted first. Raj, tell me something entirely happy with the performance of the top order, except Rohit Sharma. What was that from Shreyas Iyer? Why is he having the concern?
Shreyas Iyer, I agree with you there. I mean, Shubman Gill, again, but I also want to start with Shubman Gill. It's just been, I think he's been a little unlucky. He was in such good form before the World Cup. Missed those 2 matches, recovered from dengue, and you're never at your physical best, recovering from an ailment like that. But kudos to him and the Indian team management and the board to get him on the field. I think it's just a matter of one good game. He's already scored a half century, so he's going to be there. But Shreyas Iyer is a concern. Yeah. Why? Because you have someone like Ishan Kishan sitting out. Ishan scored a double 100 against Bangladesh as an opener, but after that and before that, he struggled in the as an opener. But in the middle order, this is where he's really sealed that position, right?
Even the game against Pakistan in the Asia Cup.
Exactly, that was a fantastic knock. And don't also forget that low-scoring game against Sri Lanka, that partnership with KL Rahul. Again, very difficult pitch against 3 quality spinners from Sri Lanka. I somehow think that's a bit of a hole to be plugged in for me, because Shreyas Iyer, Akshay, he's obviously done so well at home in that position, but just more and more. I mean, those 2 shots, right? It's not about failures, but you had 2 opportunities to really stamp your authority. That first game against Australia, soft dismissal, and then this again. You lost 2 early wickets, and you can't fault Virat Kohli because he's been phenomenal throughout the World Cup. Shubman Gill, yes, I think it's a matter of nerves and also the fact that he's still, give him a bit of benefit of doubt because we know what a class player he is. We know what a class player Shreyas Iyer can be. But I think that Yuvraj Singh tweet really summed it up well, that as a number 4 batsman, you need a little bit more application at that position. So Shreyas Iyer has been disappointing. You've got someone like Ishan Kishan, and also that gives you a left-handed option in the top 6, which you don't have currently. Jadeja at number 7.
So you're suggesting drop Shreyas Iyer for the time being, or at least give him a couple of games away?
Yeah, could be, because you're now playing in Mumbai and Bangalore, where you're going to get some sort of run fest. Maybe you won't even need too much from the top 4, from the number 4 there. Maybe
but
the top 3
he'll be playing at his home ground in Mumbai against Sri Lanka. So can that be a good opportunity for him?
I think they're going to go with him for one more game, because now look, you have to think of Ishan Kishan as well, right? He's been superb in that position. Of course, the 3 half centuries that he got in the West Indies, that was they came in the opening slot. That Pakistan innings that you mentioned, the Asia Cup game, which was eventually washed out. He batted in the middle order, rescued India from a very dicey situation alongside the partnership with Hardik Pandya. But I just genuinely feel for Ishan Kishan. I think that guy also, I mean, it's kind of a home venue for Ishan Kishan as well, right? I mean, of late he's played more cricket at the Wankhede than Shreyas Iyer. So
seems Shreyas was working for a couple of hours on Tuesday against the short balls, which has created a problem for him.
And now I don't think you're going to see you're not going to see any changes, right? You wouldn't want an off spinner on such a flat pitch, such small boundaries. You think obviously this is a world class attack, so you're going to stick with that. But and just hope that India can wrap up their wait for the semi-finals.
But it will be such a nostalgia, like 2011, Wankhede, India, Sri Lanka. Yeah. I think for my 11-year-old self, it's such a nostalgic moment.
I don't even want to mention what Oh gosh.
But like
How
such a
old was I?
different team setup. Like
Okay,
there
now
we saw the
this
likes
is
of
interesting. Now, for an 11-year-old in 2011,
yes, 10 or
So-
11. Yeah.
for a 10-year-old kid, what were you like? Do you remember? How much do you remember?
I
you
remember that
doing?
I was a kid, of course, a school kid who was watching the match, and my dad had told me one thing, that Slinga Malinga is there, this Lassit Malinga, be aware of this, bowler. And I was okay. I was
Oh,
like,
he scared
okay.
you with
Yes,
Lassit.
with the bowler, he said, this he's going to be
All
the real
dads
deal.
seem to do that, because I remember growing up and watching cricket, and my dad would, point out Alan Donald. He said, "Remember, this guy is scary." And Alan Donald looked scary, streaming in with that sort of what I'm forgetting what they call that, but we also tried that.
Yeah,
with
the sunscreen and all that.
Yeah. We tried that. We picked up those bottles from. We would ask our parents to get that, and so when we went to play a game of cricket in the summer afternoons, we'd apply that, and it wouldn't smell very nice. But yeah, so what happened then? Do you remember when Dhoni hit the winning six?
Yes, I do. And, especially when the first 2 wickets fell off, of course, Sachin Tendulkar and Sehwag, of course, it was Malinga. And I was like, yeah, whatever my dad was saying, it turned out to be right. But eventually, it was like around 11 or 10:45 something when India won the World Cup, and we all were happy. But as I said, the kind of sides that, they were like such good players. Mahela Jayawardene scoring that century, and, of course, Malinga being there, and Sangakkara being their captain. And now the side that they're facing, just that kind of a difference. But indeed,
So Diya's already
nostalgia.
played down a replay.
Yeah,
which is-
played down in
But
Sri Lanka stars,
but in Sri Lanka's defense, their 11 have become stronger. They have become stronger as the tournament has progressed.
of course. But
Not many wins to show for.
yeah,
But now look at that bowling line. Dushmanta Chamira is back. Angela Matthews with the ball and lower down the order. Obviously, that adds some sort of heft to that lineup. Dinanath Karunaratne is also back. So you have Dimot and Pathum Nissanka, who is in fantastic form. Just missed out on a 5th successive half century.
had they beaten Afghanistan, they would have had some momentum
Could
to
they
come
still
into
spoil
the match.
a couple of parties here and there?
And now I don't think they can beat India.
I'm not talking about India, but generally.
Yeah, as in teams in the bottom half will be hoping for that, because I think they are facing Australia.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun if they actually step up. See, regardless of whether they beat India or not, it doesn't matter to the points table. India are through if they win one more.
I'll be very surprised at the end of by 29th or 19th of November if India do not win the World Cup, because they have looked so much better than the other teams. You've got a captain who's so composed. You've got a team that is so happy. I love the way they celebrate that that award drill that they have for the fielders. I think it's just fantastic to watch. So it's great as an Indian fan. Look, before, like I keep saying this, before journalists, we are fans.
Yes.
And you'd always want to see your team doing well. And
Now India's biggest threat is India, I think. No, that
I
collapse,
think so.
that
I think
mindset.
So. I mean,
if
that
they can
mindset
get
of
that,
the big game.
Yeah.
That
But
mindset
what
of the,
about Australia? I mean, 4 wins on trot, and the last match with Travis Head being back with the century, David Warner being among the runs, Maxwell being among the runs. I think they can really pose that serious threat. That the only sole threat that I see is Australia.
You told me the same thing.
I don't want to face Australia in the semi-finals.
No.
I would rather face them in the semi-finals.
What if it gives a flashback of 2015?
I mean, 2011 should have also given you
2003.
flashbacks of various other
2003.
2003, for instance.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, it's a very good Australian team, and you're right, they're back in form. But Akshay and I were talking about it this once. I would rather face Australia in the semi-finals than face them in the final.
No, of course.
Because that most likely means you're facing either South Africa or New Zealand.
Yeah.
I'd take them anyway. I'd take them in the final any day. Australia, look, yes, they're a good side. Warner, tremendous form. Travis Head, in with a bang. Mitchell Marsh has got some runs. Glenn Maxwell, by the way, fell off a golfing cart. I hope he's all right.
Yes.
He is going to miss a couple of games due to concussion protocols. Nothing
Their
serious.
big game against against the defending champions on Saturday.
No, but I really hope Maxwell is all right.
Of course.
But that will be a huge blow to them.
But look at the top four, the way it's shaping up.
Yeah.
One serial winning side and other 3 teams who have not gone past the semi-final hurdle in the last few years.
Yeah.
Not won the trophy or not been in the final. It's pointing towards Australia. But that's why I said I don't want to face them
No,
in the
but
semi-finals.
okay, I get your point there about Australia being very scary, 5 World Cup titles and all that. But is this Australian team really that
definitely not.
scary? I mean, look at that bowling lineup.
Yeah.
How many Australian teams could you have told me from the past where they scored 388? No matter how good the pitch was, could an opposition team have come 5 runs
Yeah.
within touching distance?
2003 final, take that for instance.
Yeah, exactly.
359 if I'm not wrong.
And Australia just completely, I mean, they had that lineup, right? Now with Hazelwood, Stark, Cummins on paper, fantastic pace lineup, but Mitchell Stark has been struggling.
Yes.
He's really struggling. Even against India, when they had India 3 down for nothing virtually in a low-scoring game, the others failed to apply that kind of pressure. Adam Zampa, yes, that's the only positive. The other positive is that Zampa has also come back. Not the only positive, a lot of positives for Australia, but I think it's just shaping up that way. But I think, again, up until now, India have by far been the most clinical team, but also they were as clinical as Australia in 2015. Final did not happen. 2019, again, the best team by a mile. The final did not happen.
Like you said, I think
Now,
this team has kind of learned from their previous failures.
Yeah.
The way they fixed that number 4 and number 5 gap.
yeah,
That was the biggest talking point in the 2019 World Cup, if I'm not wrong.
yes.
But they fixed that gap. And there were a lot of
Is
questions,
it
even in
really
the sledging
fixed,
room.
as we were talking about number 4,
Of
Shreyas
course.
Iyengar's form?
No,
I mean,
It's not about the
it's-
form.
It's about getting that personal, which we
Yes.
were not able to do in
We
2019.
had so many changes, and
Yeah.
also because of a couple of injuries. Dhawan's injury
I think we
was
played around 3 wicket keepers in that semi-final.
Yeah, but you also look at Dhawan's injury, right?
Yes,
When Dhawan was
yes.
opening with Rohit, and then because Dhawan was ruled out, KL Rahul
Yeah.
had to be promoted up
Yeah.
the order. So there were issues. I mean, again, Dhawan's injury was a freak injury. He broke his thumb, and
Yes.
he still went on to score 100 against Australia. But
And most of these players are from that setup.
Yeah.
They have extra 4 years of experience. And if you look at someone like Rohit,
yeah,
he's kind of knowing every beat. He's in control of everything that is going on.
yeah,
From his bowling changes, from the way he batted. I would say that 87 against England is probably his best knock in the World Cup so far.
yeah.
The way he played that on that pitch, not taking risks but keeping the scoreboard moving,
Yeah.
it was a brilliant innings. But then I want to ask you both, why are we ruling out an India-Afghanistan semi-final? Afghanistan, the
Nobody's
way they
talking
have
about
played.
Pakistan also, by
Yes,
the way.
yes.
And like, they defeated Bangladesh at the Eden Gardens. But I really don't think they have it in them to go
Of
past
course.
New Zealand
Yeah.
and
Pakistan are playing New Zealand.
South Africa?
South-
South
I
Africa
don't think
and
that's
Netherlands,
gonna.
yeah.
I mean, there are two more games left, right?
Why are
And
they stuck? They have 2 more games left. Yes, one against New Zealand.
I don't think they're going to be
If
able to
New
do
Zealand lose to South Africa on Wednesday, as we are speaking, then it'll heat up a few things.
that.
But
I think
still,
if New Zealand get to 10 points alongside South Africa,
Yeah.
if that happens, if they win on Wednesday,
Yeah.
by the end of Wednesday, you would have India on 12,
yes,
New Zealand and South Africa on 10 each, and then Australia 8. So
yeah.
both New Zealand and South Africa will then need
Yeah.
only 2 points, 2 more points, if Afghanistan lose the next
Yeah.
game, which is against
Afghanistan
the
have the better chance from the bottom ranked teams to go
I
through.
really wouldn't rule out Afghanistan
Yes,
because
and the way they have played.
the way they have batted,
Yeah.
Akshay,
Yeah.
especially, I think they've been superbly impressive. The bowling, yes, everybody's spoken about the bowlers, but that batting lineup is just like I can still go back and think about the Pakistan game. The way Afghanistan won,
Yes.
it was like no pressure. They knew what they
And
were
it was
doing.
283 if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, the
283.
highest successful
Which is
run chase against
their highest
Pakistan in World
successful.
Cups.
Yeah.
And wow, they were clinical. So you can't rule Afghanistan out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really. Funny things have happened in this game. of
And it's
cricket.
good for the tournament also.
It's
to
great
have a
for the
team
tournament.
like Afghanistan.
It's great for the tournament.
Would you say they are the second best Asian team right now?
100%.
Truly. They are the only ones who have been actually able to use the Asian conditions that they have been provided with. You see Bangladesh, you see Pakistan. They also had the similar home, Sri Lanka for that matter, similar home conditions, but they really couldn't use that for their own benefit. So,
I mean, I'm thinking back of the first episode on the Sledging Room and how we gradually developed and how we were so fired up and passionate, and obviously we still are. But I'm glad that the tone and tenor has become friendly. I'll tell you why. Because we started off asking questions, right? We were hoping against hope that India would finally end their ICC trophies jinx.
Yeah.
Did not happen in the 2022 T20 World Cup. Did not happen earlier
World
this
Test
year
Championship,
in the
right.
World Test Championship. Now we are...
Is
a
it
mere
also a
couple
sign
of weeks.
that the team is doing well? There is
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Because we have lesser things to rant about.
Yeah.
We have lesser things to complain about. We are happier, obviously, when the Indian team does well. We are happy. And somebody asked me, what will happen if India win the World Cup? What will happen to the Sledging Room? I said, great if India win the Sledging Room. I would want us to be much more toned down and mellow. Because this is what we want. We want India to win the World Cup. We've obviously asked the right questions. What has been our point? Our point is that this is the richest board in the world, richest cricket board in the world. They have provided the players with everything. They have given you the IPL, which is I think this is, again, this has raised a few eyebrows every now and then, but I think the Indian Premier League offers you better quality than the T20 World Cup, right?
Yeah.
You've given so many A tours, right? Your players are very well developed. You have tremendous exposure. You're very well paid. You're the best paid cricketers in the world. You have everything. You have the best coaches. You have the best, support system.
And
you have
infrastructure
everything.
in the tier 2 cities are also coming up very well.
Look at the infrastructure. I mean, this is a pride of the cricketing world, right? This is the pride of the cricketing world. This is the pride of the country, the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. I haven't been fortunate enough to go there yet, but from everybody who's been to the ground, whether they're journalists, whether they're whether they're fans who've been there, somebody from the broadcasting fraternity, they've been raving about how fantastic that stadium is. So you have access to all that, So this is why you and then mostly the passionate fans in this country, they deserve this World Cup. 10 years,
pinnacle of that cricketing. As in, you can say the T20 World Cup, IPL, and all that.
Yeah,
but nothing matches the
ODI
feeling
World
of
Cup.
winning an
Yeah,
ODI
of
World
course.
Cup, right?
Yeah.
And you were 10 or 11 years old. I don't know how old you
12 or 13.
were. Yeah, I'm sure you would have. I knew you would have said.
I was around.
But because I was there that night and I could see it was just crazy. It was crazy. Some of the things that you saw, you don't see often, obviously, because India had never won a World Cup at home before that. So that stretch on Marine Drive, I keep going back to those memories. It was just fantastic to watch the players, the way they celebrated, and you could see how much it meant to them. Sachin Tendulkar,
a certain Virat Kohli.
Yeah. Tendulkar was, playing his last ODI at home.
Exactly.
That was his last ODI at
Yeah.
home. Nobody knew about it then, but that was just so special and so splendid. But quickly before we wrap up, I know we always talk about discussing this and discussing that, but this is Indian cricket one win away.
Yeah.
One win away from qualifying for the semi-finals. Go back to 2007. I'm sure you wouldn't have any memories of 2007. Good. You don't have any memories of 2007 ODI World Cup. I remember I was in college when that happened. I used to stay up late at night because it was in the West Indies and I'd watch those games. And
I think I've
it wasn't
conditioned
easy to
myself to forget
digest.
that World Cup. As in, it's like I don't remember anything from that World Cup.
It's best to forget it. Things happen.
Yeah.
2007 was one of them. Just forget it, move on. But 2011 World Champions, 15 semi-finalists, 19 semi-finalists. I don't know how many of our viewers or listeners or the two of you, how many of you would disagree with me when I say that India has been the best ODI World Cup side over the last 12 years, right? Just on the cusp of a semi-final berth. And imagine, it'll be against the same opposition. Like you said, not the same quality of the previous Sri Lankan team, but against the same opposition at the same venue, sealing a semi-final berth.
Perfect. That would be perfect. And if
Full
you ask
circle
me,
moment.
yes. If you ask me, I don't think this Indian team is going to lose. They'll have a perfect campaign till the final, win the final, and lift that trophy.
But who are we winning it for? Like 2011, we won it, like Virat Kohli mentioned that they won it for Sachin.
Yeah.
Is it time for likes of Shubman Gill to be winning it for the likes of Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma? Is it time already?
Win it for the team. Win it for the country.
Win it for the country.
If Gambhir listened to this, he would give his thoughts. It's cricket. It's 11-member game.
People have asked this question, but for me, for my generation, Tendulkar is cricketing god.
Yeah.
He's cricketing royalty. I mean, Virat Kohli is obviously achieved so much.
Yeah.
But Tendulkar
But that
Tendulkar.
emotion of
course.
following and watching a Tendulkar, you can win it for him, but this time
even if
win
you
it-
ask Virat Kohli would say, yes, we would win it for Sachin Tendulkar, but he would also play it down because from all the interviews that you've seen around him, he also tries to, he's a humble guy.
Yeah.
If
you ask me whether Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli deserve a World Cup, absolutely
of course
yes.
they
Yeah.
do. Of course they do.
Virat Kohli, yes, he has been part of a winning campaign.
They
Yes,
do.
but
They
Rohit
do.
Sharma and Virat Kohli, the way they have
But
been in ODI
more
cricket.
than them, the
bowling.
cricket fan in
Yes.
this country deserves
Yes.
it. Every cricket fan. I mean, you look at an Indian cricket fan, the Akshay, and you could just see the passion.
Yeah.
They follow their team
Indeed.
day in and day out, and
Yeah.
they've been ups and downs, but they don't.
And I think India winning the ODI World Cup will also help the format. Amid all the noise that is there,
it
that
did
we are
help
going
the
to scrap.
T20 format
Yes.
get up to the next level because India won the T20 World
Yeah.
Cup. So if
Amid
India
all
do
the-
win this ODI World Cup,
There's
Um,
noise that ODI format should be scrapped. They should be looked at.
I have a feeling India will lift this trophy on the 19th of November.
Hopefully.
But
Hopefully.
I mean, everybody will come and say, like, look, you are Indian fans, you're Indians, you obviously want to. Obviously, we want India to win
We
the
would
World
want.
Cup.
Raj, but before
But-
the qualification race is sealed off,
Yeah.
by the time we come back on Friday or next week, I think we'd kind of have an idea of what the top 4 would look like.
Yeah.
So your last time to make a prediction, top 4 prediction right now, give me the order as well.
India,
Yeah.
New Zealand, South Africa, Afghanistan.
Oh,
Okay. You?
I think India, New Zealand, South Africa, and Australia.
Perfect. India, South Africa, Australia and Pakistan.
Come on.
Let's
That's not
get
gonna
them in.
happen. That's
India,
not gonna-
Pakistan semi-final in Kolkata.
I want a proper semi-final. I don't
Yeah,
want to face
yeah.
this Pakistan team. This
Yes,
is, I
yes.
mean, they're not a good team. I've said
and
that
the
time
hype
again.
around
in
that
fact, In fact, I
contest.
saw a comment on YouTube. He said, yes,
Yeah.
you've been saying that for months. We know
Yeah.
Pakistan is not a good enough
It'll be
cricket
like a
team.
typical Bollywood biggie. There'll be no substance in the movie, but the hype around the
No,
movie will be
no.
great.
This Pakistan team again, it's just, I mean, we got to talk about how this is unfolded for them, but maybe that's a different story for a
Yeah.
different day. But
The
I mean,
underachievers of the World Cup.
It's time
No.
for them to get their calculators out already, and by
No,
next
they've
few
already
matches
gotten
they
it
will
out.
be throwing
No,
at
they've
their
already
TV
got-
sets.
But
already
again,
gotten it.
I don't
As
know.
an RCB fan, she can very well connect to it. Calculators. Yeah.
RCB fans, we that's interesting for the IPL.
Yeah.
Look at, you already keep your set of calculators ready, RCB fans.
Always.
But no, I mean, Pakistan do not deserve
Of
to
course.
be in the
Of
semi-finals.
course.
They did not deserve to be in the finals of the T20
2019
World Cup.
World Cup was won by a team that didn't deserve to
Yeah,
be
exactly.
winning it. So
Exactly. But on that note, we will wrap this up, and we'll of course see you soon in a couple of days. And India, like I said, just one win away from qualifying for the 4th successive semi-final in ODI World Cups. They were champions in 2011, semi-finalists in 15 and 19, and then
to
on the
be
verge.
champions in 2023.
Are they to be
Hopefully.
champions? Hopefully.
Yeah.
And things are looking really, really good for the Indian cricket team. Please do rate us and leave your comments. Write into us on podcasts at indiatoday.in and leave your comments on YouTube. Please rate us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you're listening to the Sledging Room on. Thank you so much, Diya. Akshay, we'll come back to you with a lot more scintillating cricketing action this week and the next. Thank you. You are on India Today podcasts, and you are in the Sledging Room.